Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're well. Everybody knows about Lattafa, right? One of the most hyped fragrance brands out there, but not everything they've released is actually any good.
Oh, come on!
Today, 20 of their most hyped fragrances from S tier, the absolute best, the must-owns, down to D tier, the complete trash that you can forget about. And they've got a lot of stuff in between also. All of these linked in the description, also ranked out by tier. We're gonna begin with this one, Fire on Ice. This one's kind of interesting because when it came out, it was really hyped for like a week there, pretty much. Presentation to me has always looked kind of cheap. It's just like this little nondescript bottle, but then it has a fake ice cube glued down to the bottom in there. So kind of cool, kind of cheap, yeah.
This is an investment, man.
And this one smells really similar to Angel Share Paradis. It was released about the same time as Royal Blend Sequoia by French Avenue and also Valhalla by Rayhan. When this one was first dropped, the price was really high, but since then it's come down a good amount. Question is, how good is it as an Angel Share Paradis alternative? And in my opinion, it's actually the worst of those three. I would take the French Avenue and I would take the Rayhan over this one. Now this fragrance does have people that really enjoy it, but for me, when you rank it up against all the other Lattafa fragrances, I would put it in the C tier. Not the absolute worst of the worst, but there are a lot of fragrances Lattafa makes that are way better. Ooh, what about this one? Assad. Everybody knows Assad. This is one of their most popular releases ever. Smells similar to Sauvage Elixir. And this one I think is actually one of the better Sauvage Elixir alternatives out there, especially when you consider bang for buck. Great performance, great compliment factor, really easy to wear overall as long as you like the Sauvage Elixir style. That being said, you could go Fragrance World Enigma Un, which is maybe a little bit better overall, but it costs more, so there is a trade-off with that one. Or at least it usually costs more, depending on where you're shopping. The question is, if Assad is still one of the absolute best smelling fragrances that Lattafa has ever done. And I think it is, but I can't quite put it into that S tier. So for me, A tier. And I might revisit these as we go along, but for now, that's where these are. Qaeed Al Fursan. Now this one is mad cheap, and it's a pineapple bomb. Smells similar to 9 PM Rebel to a lot of people, and I think that for me, the main thing that this is best for is actually layering it. You can use this basically to pump up the opening of a lot of fragrances, give it more of that pineapple action going on. As a standalone fragrance though, it's not as impressive to me as a lot of the other stuff Lattafa's done, so B tier. Maybe we need to scoot these in a little more, give some room over here. So we've got C, B, A. What about this? Art of Wood. Yeah, good old Art of Wood. Well, this one smells similar to a Parfums de Marly. Perseus. Yeah, Perseus, which is not the worst Parfums de Marly. It has kind of a Terre d'Hermès, like Terre d'Hermès Eau Givre kind of vibe to it. But Art of Wood takes that vibe and then makes it less wearable. Yeah. So strangely, it has this sort of a dankness to it. So when you spray it on and you smell it, yeah. There is this bitter, dank sort of vibe to it. Basically like taking that Terre d'Hermès, that Perseus kind of vibe, and putting it through a funkometer, a funkometer, ramping up the funk. A lot of people will compare it to kind of a cannabis sort of vibe to it, cannabis note. Just overall, not that appealing. This is going down in D tier. I think especially for the price, it's not really the best Perseus alternative, and it's less wearable than Perseus or Terre d'Hermès. And so in pretty much any circumstance, you're better off going with the original or a different alternative. Just not that great. But what about Jasoor? Where would this one fall? Well, this right here smells similar to Coral Fantasy by Valentino. And this one is actually really, really nice. The price point is low, so you can pick this up without blowing through your budget. Really nice apple in the opening, a little bit of tobacco as it dries down. Great year-round fragrance. And this is what I struggle with, because I'm kind of like half and half here. I'm like, well, S tier, you know, should go there because it's super versatile, compliment pulling, all of that. And then part of me is like, you know, it's more of an A tier kind of vibe. Because I'm trying to be harsh here, you know? All of these are really cheap for the most part. So, you know, if you're grading it on a curve and you're going, well, for the price, this is an S tier, then you end up shifting everything this way, and you kind of have to like compare the brand against itself to an extent. And so for me, A tier. Really, really good though. The newest Khamrah Waha. It is a fragrance. The hype level with this one, maybe more than anything else not named just straight up the original Khamrah, because when this thing dropped, you could not escape it. You had people talking about it everywhere. Apocalyptic levels of hype. Basically just like this is the best Khamrah to ever exist. To me though, it's not really worth that level of hype. So the opening here smells good. I like the opening a lot. It's fresh, it's sweet, it's attention grabbing. As it dries down though, it gets kind of muddled. It's like it's trying to do 5 things at once, none of them really all that well. Trying to be like a jack of all trades, master of none type deal. It tries to shoehorn the original Khamrah DNA in there, you know, that warm, sweet aspect while still trying to keep it kind of fresh, but neither one really works. And for me, I'm gonna put it here in C tier. Not quite a complete catastrophe, which would be D tier, but definitely not one of the better things they've done. And for me, that's the worst Khamrah.
This is delusional.
So like if there was one Khamrah that you were not going to get out of the 4 that they have out so far, it'd be that one. Another Assad, this time Elixir. So Assad Elixir basically smells similar to Boss Bottled Absolute. Obviously it's got like a little twist to it. You know, the original Assad also kind of the same deal. It's similar to a Sauvage Elixir, but with a little twist. And this may be sacrilege to some of you, but I actually like this more than the original Assad. It's going into S tier. It's smooth, it's classy, it's sexy, and it's really easy to pull off. Maybe even more so than the original Bottled Absolute, because it does kind of take that patchouli down a little bit. So, you know, some people may dislike that, but I like this a whole bunch, just like the original Hugo Boss, so S tier for me. While we're doing Assad, how about Assad Zanzibar? Now this is the original version of Assad Zanzibar. They have, you know, tweaked it, they've changed it, they've messed with it, and I'll tell you why, because the original one is going in D tier. It's not very good. When it was originally announced, the thought was this is gonna be Le Beau de Parfum, something like that, right? You know, tropical, sweet, fresh, that whole vibe. And then instead it's just kind of a mess, just overly synthetic. The sweetness is almost headache inducing. It has a weird off-putting kind of vibe to it as well, where a lot of people smell it and they're just kind of grossed out by it. Not really nice. It did end up dropping heavily in price. Like, this was one of the cheapest Lattafas you could pick up, but that's because nobody wanted it. Assad Zanzibar is pretty crappy. If you're talking about the original Assad Zanzibar, not too many people are gonna be blown away by that one, so I'd stay away. Now, of course, when it comes to Lattafa, you wanna look around a little bit. Most of their fragrances are really cheap. That is one of the things that helps them be as big as they are, is that it's a name people recognize, and also they undercut a lot of the other Middle Eastern brands. So, I mean, that never hurts. If you're looking at 2 fragrances that are both dupes of the same thing, and one of them's 25 bucks and one is 35, unless the $35 one is way better than the 25, a lot of people are gonna go, well, I'm gonna save 10 bucks. You know what's coming if you wanna save even more though. Codes. These are also in the description, you can copy and paste. I have codes for Maple Prime, Gift Express, JOMASHOP, Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Beauty House, many more. So pretty much any Lattafa you could want, you're gonna be able to find at these different stores, and you can use those codes to save yourself a little bit of extra money. Not that they're crazy expensive as it is, but you know, every little bit helps. All right, 2 fragrances here that look very similar, but they are very different. So I've got Oud for Glory over here, and then Honor and Glory over here. Oud for Glory smells similar to Oud for Greatness, which it's amazing that they didn't get sued, because, you know, the bottle is pretty much a dead ringer for it, and the name as well. But yeah, this is Oud for Greatness, and that's one of those fragrances that pretty much everybody released a version of right around the same time. And other brands also did the same deal as this, where they had the same, you know, presentation style. It's not just Lattafa, they all basically ripped off the way the bottle looks and the name. And most of you out there are gonna be like, yeah, Oud for Greatness, we all know. But yeah, that was just a fragrance that was crazy hype for a while. Big Oud saffron bomb. And this is a pretty well done alternative to that scent. I think though that maybe that scent profile is a little overplayed at this point. So for me, I would put it here in B tier. It's good, it's competent, it gets the job done. Not the most exciting thing out there in the world anymore, but still, this is pretty well done. And then Honor and Glory is more of its own thing. It's like pineapple and creme brulee, kind of an interesting note breakdown. It's more like what you would call a creative release, where they kind of take bits and pieces of maybe a bunch of different things out there and kind of pop it together and make their own thing to an extent. It is really sweet, like almost sickeningly, I barfed in my hands and accidentally spilled it all over my shirt, kind of sweet. I don't think that's a thing. Oh man. But it does have this big sweet like sticky, you know, syrupy kind of pop to it. A little bit of freshness in there as well. A lot of people love this one. A lot of people also hate this one, so it can be a little bit divisive. And I think to my own taste, I'm gonna put it right here, also B tier. I think this is clearly better than these, but I think that I would much rather wear these than this. Art of Nature 2. Look at that, that's an interesting bottle. Somebody at HQ was just like, all right, I got a great idea. We're gonna make it look like two friggin' bronze horses are just coming out of the bottle, man. It's the art of nature, brother. Horses, it's beautiful. And we're gonna have like a really pixelated landscape there. And we're just gonna call it Art of Nature 2. And we're gonna make it smell like PDM's Altair. Why? I don't know, because I've been up for 48 hours straight, bro. You don't wanna know how my week has gone. We're rolling with this. And then they did, and it's actually pretty good. So the main drawback with this one is it's competing with every single other Middle Eastern brand that has their own version of Altair out there, and sometimes multiple versions. And it's also gonna be more expensive than Liquid Brun, which is gonna be the main one that people are keyed in on, you know, French Avenue. At a lot of stores, this is gonna be one of the more expensive Lattafas. So you're looking at potentially 45 bucks. And then for the comparable French Avenue, you're looking at 35, sometimes marked down to 25, depending on where you're shopping. And so yeah, $10 to $20, maybe not like the craziest price difference ever, but when you're talking about prices this low, that does become a pretty big difference. And also for most people, Liquid Brun is gonna perform a little bit better. It's gonna have a little more push to it. Not that this one is weak or anything like that, but you know, little things make a big difference when you're talking about that difference in price. All that said, still smells amazing. It is a great alternative to that PDM. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I would rather wear this than these, but it does have some points shaved off because the competitors are maybe a more compelling buy for most people. Khamrah Qahwa up next. So this was the second Khamrah fragrance, the first flanker, and this one basically is a pretty simple idea. It's like, what if we took Khamrah and then we added some coffee into it? And also pumped up that performance a little bit too. That's basically what it is. It's pretty affordable most of the time. And I actually think that the added coffee note here improves the scent profile. And for me, it's pretty simple. Why? It just adds kind of a counterpoint to all the sweetness. It gives you this little juxtaposition, makes it a little more interesting. Now it still has that same compliment factor. It still has that nice, warm, sweet, gourmand adjacent kind of scent profile. And for me, I think this is one of the best things Lattafa's done. S tier. That is good. Now we were talking Art of Nature, so how about a little more Art of Nature? This one is Art of Nature 1, and this has a little camel bro going through the desert. Nice. To be fair, Lattafa has a lot of fragrances that have like this sort of 3D styling to it. They've got a bunch of them, so it's not just these. It is fun. Some people think that they're tacky, that they look corny or whatever. I think they're kind of cool. Now, interestingly enough, Art of Nature 1 and 2, the bottles are not the same. Like this one is taller and skinnier. This one is shorter and squatter and wider. Shorter and squatter, that's the same thing. And this dude right here smells similar to Oud Maracuja, but I don't really like it. It is strong, it's tart, and it has kind of an animalic feel to it. It makes it more difficult to recommend. It's harder to wear. Most people would smell this and be like, great, I can use that approximately never. Thank you, Lattafa, you solved all my problems. Now I have a fragrance that I can wear when I don't want to wear a fragrance by not spraying it on. Genius. Now, to be fair, some people are gonna love this, so they're gonna like that power, they're gonna like that little edge that it has, but I think for most people, not a good buy. I would put this down here in D tier. You stay there, you think about what you've done. You disgust me. You disgust your parents.
Boy, have you lost your mind, cause I'll help you find it.
I don't know what I'm talking about. The Regula Schmegula, Too Far From Gideon, Khamrah, the original. Now this is good. Yeah, Khamrah is really solid. It may be overplayed at this point because everybody has it, everybody smelled it. You can find it at like Burlington Coat Factory. You can find it at TJ Maxx a lot of times now. You can't escape it. It's coming for you. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? It's out there. It's out there. All that said, it still smells really, really good. And every single brand out there has their version of this at this point. So even if you stay away from it on the Lattafa side of things, all these other brands, you're gonna run into it again, you know, something similar to this. Where I struggle with this one though is, I think Khamrah Qahwa is better. And it is a little overplayed. It is, you know, affordable and everything. But I think grand scheme of things, I'm gonna put it here in A tier. A strong A tier, but still A tier. What about Muraqaba. Now, admittedly, this is a fragrance that I simp for more than other people. I'm a fragrance simp, no. But I do think that I like this more than the average person does. So I'm telling you that right off the rip, okay? We're on the same page here. It has a massively sweet apple shisha opening, okay? So we're talking a very sweet apple tobacco kind of scent profile. I love this stuff for fall and winter. It's got a little bit of smokiness that works through there as it dries down, that kind of tobacco vibe going on. And I am going to absolutely overrate this fragrance and put it into S tier. With the understanding that I'm telling you that if you don't like apple tobacco scent profiles, by the way, smell similar to Killian Smokin' Hot. I don't know if I said that or not. I don't remember. I'm like a goldfish. I don't think I did say it, but now I have for sure. But if you don't like that kind of vibe, if you've smelled the original and you don't like that one, a more realistic place for this fragrance, probably down in B tier, okay? Like right down here. But for me personally, because of that tobacco and the apple, which again, I really like, it's up here. Okay, we're on the same page. What about Abiyedh Rouge? This basically has one claim to fame. It is a dirt cheap alternative to BR 540. That's it. And it does that really well. Like when I bought this, I think it was under 15 bucks. I think it was like $14 and change. Now, it doesn't look particularly fancy or anything like that. Actually, my bottle arrived missing one of its little fake crystals. So that shows you the attention to detail. This was missing from the get-go. It was not inside the box. It fell off at some point between when it was put on originally and when it was packaged. Now, does this smell synthetic? Again, this is like a $15 alternative to BR 540. That's the answer to your question. Yes. It does do the job though. You know, BR 540 is a fragrance that, to be fair, is pretty easy to dupe on the cheap. There are a lot of them out there. I think though, when you bump it up against these here and these here, like where does it fit in more? And for me, right here. It is wearable, but I think when you compare it in terms of quality and everything else to these, it's not there, it's here. The Kingdom. This one right here smells similar to Assad Elixir, but it is kind of missing the honey overload that Assad Elixir has. This doesn't have so much of that. So that's either gonna be a positive or a negative, depending on how you like your Assad Elixir. Personally, I like the honey. So you're gonna get more lavender in this one. Not quite as sticky sweet as the OG. It is still though really well done. It's very nice, but I can't put it up with these here. I think it fits in more with these here. Probably at the upper end of these, to be fair. Like the upper end of these. What about Fakhar Black? This right here, Why Eau de Parfum on the cheap? Well, for me, also here, B tier. Upper end of B tier, because it is very affordable, it smells nice, and it basically does what you would expect. It smells like a cheaper version of YEDP. Fresh, sweet, versatile, compliment pulling, all of that stuff is true. A nice little jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife type of scent. I just don't have it in terms of how good it smells up here with Khamrah and Assad. I think it's just, you know, one tier below that. And actually looking at Muraqaba right now, I'm like, probably should move that down. Oh. The final Assad Bourbon. So this one right here basically is like, hey, let's take all the best stuff from the Most Wanted, from Born in Roma Intense, you know, a little bit from Scandal Absolute, just bits and bobs from all of these different types of scent profiles, put it together. Which also includes Stronger With You, because the Most Wanted, Stronger With You, and to a lesser extent, the Scandal line, they have a lot of things in common. And this is kind of like taking all that and putting it into a blender. Perfect for fall and winter, big compliment puller, and also pretty affordable. This one, S tier. And I feel better about that being an S tier. That's also one, maybe more so than any of these others, that has grown on me over time. Yeah, I'd say that one of these has grown on me the most. And the final one, Khamrah Dukan. This is also really nice. It keeps that fall winter kind of vibe to it. Basically Khamrah with kind of a tobacco smokiness added to it. And I do really love this, but I like Qahwa just a tiny bit more, I'd say. So I'm gonna put this A tier up toward the top of A. And let me really quickly just kind of reevaluate here. I'll tell you, of all of these, the one I'm iffiest on is the Muraqaba. But I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna leave this how it is. You start overthinking things and then you can be like, well, that should be moved here and this should be moved there and that should be moved here, and it gets to be messy. So we're just gonna leave it like that. That's the ranking. With one little aside, which is that this Assad, probably one of the top two most important fragrances they've ever done alongside Khamrah. And so I don't feel great putting it into A, but I feel like Elixir and Bourbon are just a little bit better as far as like what I go for nowadays. But still, Sauvage Elixir, if you want a cheap alternative, one of your best bang for buck options, period. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.